Hello, welcome to episode 4 of our Take 5 series, season 3, brought to you by the Chisipite Seventh-day Adventist Church, in particular, the Women's Ministries Department. My name is Busi. I am the Women's Ministries Director. We continue with our study of some of the difficulties, the challenges, the conflicts we encounter in our families through the life of David, as we have been studying in the previous days. Today, we want to look at an incident wherein David incurred the anger, the wrath of Saul inadvertently. In 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 7 to 9, we come across an experience where after David had defeated the Philistines, and this is after he had already killed Goliath, and he wins yet another victory for Israel and for the people of God. As he is coming back to Jerusalem, we find women that are now singing his praises. These women compose a song. You know, as women, we just love composing songs and singing. And they start singing that Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed tens of thousands. And so they sing this song as a way of welcoming David and the army back into Jerusalem. And this does not go down well with Saul at all. And the Bible actually says that from that day forward, Saul started eyeing David and determined in his heart that he would find a way of killing David, of getting rid of him. So essentially, Saul was feeling threatened by this young man who was just going out there and gaining one victory after another. I suppose maybe he felt that this young man was exposing him, because remember, Saul was the king, and he is the one who should have been leading the armies of Israel. And yet we find young David is at the center of all the victories that the Lord gave to Israel. I know for certain that in our families, we do encounter such seasons too. Those seasons where a family member, it could be an older family member, or it could even be siblings or a spouse, who starts feeling intimidated, who starts feeling undermined, who starts feeling maybe exposed because of the successes that you are attaining. I know certainly in some families, as a woman's career or as the wife's career takes off and she starts registering one success after another, there have been instances where the husband suddenly feels uncomfortable. He starts thinking that this woman is now a threat. The same happens amongst siblings, where one sibling goes through a phase in their life where they are receiving one accolade after another, and this does not go down well with other siblings. And as we are told in the Bible, these siblings begin to determine in their minds and in their hearts to bring about this other sibling's downfall. It could be a spouse who then determines to undermine the wife wherever he has opportunity to do so. I have seen in some instances where a family member will begin to talk good and celebrate the success of another, and then someone else will say, you know, they are getting this business because they are bribing everybody. And that is not necessarily true. But the fact of the matter is that this family member just cannot handle seeing someone else celebrated. And this is often true in those families where perhaps there is that one member who has always been the go-to person in terms of advice, in terms of financial support, or even basic things like providing transport when the family needs to go and attend a funeral in another town. And then suddenly a younger member of the family also becomes blessed, and they begin to rise. And the star that is now rising becomes a threat to this person who traditionally was the go-to person. So we know that those experiences do happen in our families. But what can we learn from David? and this experience, and what is it that we can do when we encounter such challenges. The first lesson that I would like us to look at is to recognize that sometimes other family members may be genuine in celebrating and acknowledging the success or the good fortune that has befallen one member of the family. And this success then becomes a source of conflict or a source of torment from another family member or from a group of family members. So brace yourself. As you become more successful, that success will come with a lot of conflict. It will come with a lot of anger and feelings of jealousy from some of your family members. The second lesson is that at times our suffering comes as a result of the favor of God on our lives. What am I saying? Recognize that simply because God has favored you is not going to insulate you from pain and torment. Actually, if at all anything, it may be the experience that leads to untold pain and suffering. This is often true in work settings or even in a church setting, where your boss now feels threatened because of the quality of reports that you submit or how thorough you are in your analysis of a particular problem that you are dealing with in your place of work. And maybe as the board or the higher ups begin to celebrate you, your boss starts feeling threatened. And he determines from that day onward, just like the experience of David, that they are going to make your life difficult at work. So embrace those seasons and anticipate them, because they will definitely come. The third lesson is that as families, we need to recognize that God has gifted us differently. In this case, what we find is that God had blessed Saul. Saul had been able to kill thousands. It's not as if he had not accomplished anything. He had his own accomplishments. But instead of focusing on them and celebrating the goodness of the Lord and the success that the Lord had brought in his life, he started feeling jealous. And he then focused on the tens of thousands that had been given to David. So instead of feeling jealous, let us come back and celebrate what God has done for us, because all of us have reason to celebrate. And the more we focus on gratitude, the less inclined we will be to feel jealous over other family members' accomplishments.
Take 5 is a show produced by the Ncube Church, a fountain of love, and is made possible by support from many partners. If you wish to follow more of our studies on these and many other subjects, please connect with us on the Ncube SDA Church on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Like our platforms and share with us your comments. We also have our plug-in team ready to pray with you and encourage you through life's challenges. So please connect with us, and we'd love to pray with you. We can't wait to hear from you. And remember, when life seems to drown you, just take a moment, take a break, and take 5 to reflect.
May the Lord bless us as we navigate these difficult seasons in our lives. And let us remember that it is important to do life as united, loving families always.